Very good. Mr. Roberts, sir, you ready, sir? Thank you, sir. Mr. Jamadi? Thank you, ma'am. Mr. Wall, sir? Ms. Dresser, ma'am? Our new chief, Hankins, sir? Ready, sir? Okay, Mrs. Bowman? Yes, sir. Mr. Smith? Yes. Mr. Fuhrer? Mr. City Manager? Thank you. Representative Dial, sir? Ready. Thank you, sir. Representative Hearn, I'm getting ready to call you agency member. I apologize, sir. Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. Deputy Mayor, sir.
Yes, sir. Ready to go.
Garganese, sir.
I'm right here.
Thank you kindly, sir. I'm going to do this just for a moment. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. As we proceed on our New Year 2021, I would like to say blessing to each and every one that's in this audience and out there in TV land. We're starting a new year with a new positive attitude. So we expect great things. Would everyone please stand? And we will do invocation. Sergeant Hathaway, would you come to the podium and do invocation for me, please, sir? It is Sergeant.
Not yet.
Oh, okay. Well, he just been spoken to prophecy. And would everyone please, ma'am and sir, secure your cell phones. Thank you very much.
Heavenly Father, thank you for this day and thank you for the city of Cocoa. Lord, I pray that you watch over us and you keep us safe, that you bless each member of the city of Cocoa, all of the employees, the administrators, and the people that support us. In your name, amen.
Amen. Face the flag. Rep Dow, sir, would you lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Everyone be seated, please. Madam Clerk, ma'am, may we do roll call, please?
Yes. Mayor Blake.
Present, ma'am.
Deputy Mayor Goins.
here.
Councilmember Dial.
Here.
Councilmember Hearn.
Here.
Councilmember Koss. City Attorney Garganese.
Here.
And City Manager Witten.
Here.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Madam Clerk. Mr. City Manager, you have something that you would like to share with us, please, sir?
Yes, Mr. Mayor. This afternoon, I talked to Councilwoman Koss, and she is under the weather and unable to make it to this meeting, and obviously did not make it to the CRA meeting.
We pray for her a feel better and speedy recovery and to a picture-perfect health. Okay, what are the wishes of council for the agenda regular meeting January the 12th, 2021? Sir, Dial, sir.
I'd like to make a motion to put reports to the end. I thought we voted on that 4-1. They were supposed to be back there anyways at all times until somebody needs something to change it to bring them forward.
Okay, we would like to do that permanently. Is that my correct understanding, sir?
Yes, sir.
Thank you kindly. Any questions? Chair's going to call the question. All in favor by saying aye.
Aye.
Any nays? Ayes have it unanimously. Proceeding on to the minutes.
It wasn't seconded. Nobody.
Oh, I'm sorry. I seconded. Chair, I'm sorry. Pardon me. Forgive me. Proceeding on to item number 2-2, swearing in ceremony, special city council meeting of November the 17th, 2020. Council priority planning workshop on December the 3rd, 2020. Regular meeting of December the 8th, 2020. What are the wishes of council?
Motion to approve all minutes.
Well, okay, we have a motion on the floor by Deputy Mayor Goins and a second by...
I'll second it.
A second by Councilman Hearns. Chair's gonna call the question. All in favor by saying aye.
Aye.
Any nays? Ayes have it unanimously. It's, Rip, would you turn your light off for me, please, sir? Any awards and presentations? Seeing none. Proceeding on to delegations. We have a large volume of cards under delegation, and I want to give everyone the right to be heard. So I have something like 7, 8 cards here. And normally and traditionally, delegations is about 30 minutes. Is that correct, Madam Secretary, Clerk? Yes. Okay. So I'm asking you all to be heard, but can we condense it just a little bit to 3 minutes? Please, ma'am. Please, sir, so that we can hear everyone. Okay. All right. I have a card here that says D. I don't have a last name. Ms. D, could you come to the podium and expound on this for me, please, ma'am? Thank you, ma'am. To that podium right there. Yes, ma'am?
Yes, I'm really here, I'm new to Cocoa, relatively new, and I'm a witness to senior abuse by a landlord that is impacting taxpayers. And for both issues, I think there's too much evidence and witnesses to present at a 3-minute meeting here. So on my card, if you notice, I asked, and it's very confidential information. So I asked if I and another person could schedule a meeting with you to show you the evidence and to present our case to you so you can fully be informed before you decide any action on it. And all we're asking tonight is for a meeting with you because it's very serious.
Yes, ma'am. The meeting, you would like to meet with myself and the city manager, ma'am? Is that my
Yes.
correct understanding?
Yes.
Okay. I will be more than happy to meet with you in the event if I can't attend. I think it should go through our city manager first, and then he will share the information with us as a council. But yes, ma'am, I can meet with you.
As long as you are given the complete information, because we have tried to go through other law enforcement personnel and never got a response
Okay.
through going through chain of command. So we're really needing your follow-up
Yes, ma'am.
to make sure you get.
Yes, ma'am, Ms. D.
everything.
I noticed you didn't put an address. Could you just give us?
Yes, because people want it to be anonymous right now until we see how
Okay.
people are very afraid of retaliation.
Yes, ma'am.
And so, and me too.
Okay.
And
Okay.
so I've already suffered retaliation. And
okay.
so,
Stop right there, ma'am.
yeah,
Relax. Take a pause.
Yeah.
For the cause. You're fine. This young man to my immediate right, your left, the city manager takes an oath of the Constitution as well. So, yes, ma'am, you can collaborate with him. We will set up a meeting.
I appreciate that.
Yes, ma'am, and we look forward to talking to you.
Yes, I
okay.
do too, thank you.
Thank you very much, ma'am. God bless. Next on the list will be Miss Jennifer Kenny, please.
Jennifer Kenny, 1917 Quail Ridge Court, apartment 1901, Cocoa, Florida, 32926. I'm just trying to get the traffic study for the Otterbein Avenue for the apartment building that's going in, the 40 unit, 80 parking spaces, 3-story. It's going in. It's not on the agenda tonight. I was surprised not to see it. But it's behind the Aldi and between Quail Ridge condominiums. And it was stated that there was a traffic study. I did ask at the zoning meeting for it. I haven't been able to find it on the city website. I did speak to my councilman about it, and I'd like to, someone send me a link or hand me a paper copy. I'd like the traffic study. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Mr. City Manager, make sure the proper authorities address our concerns. Thank you, ma'am. Rob Perron.
I'm here to speak about the drive-through. Can I refer to that?
Okay, it was on a delegation. That's 7-1, I'm assuming. Is that correct? Yes, ma'am. Thank you. Okay. Mrs. Stephanie Carter Gallon.
Good evening, Mayor,
Good evening.
City Councilmen, staff. My name is Stephanie Carter Gallo. I have a business at 1003 North Cocoa Boulevard. It's called Dakota's Detail and Auto Center. I'm here to request for a shade structure that is occupied on one of your properties. I'm asking to see if I can obtain that. I'm willing to pay to have it removed. I've noticed that it's been sitting there for a mighty long time, not being utilized. The shade part is missing, but I'm willing to pay to have it removed. It will bring beauty to my business.
Where's your business located at, ma'am?
It's on US 1. On US 1 main, the main highway.
Cocoa, Florida.
Yes, Cocoa, Florida.
Thank you.
And I want to make my place more welcoming to bring more revenue to my business, and I want it.
Could you state your address for me, please, ma'am?
1003 North Cocoa Boulevard. That's where the business is. My home address is in Rockledge, 976 Bougainvillea, Rockledge, Florida.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Mr. City Manager. Yes, sir. Mr. Terrence Thomas, please. State your name and your address for us, please, sir.
Terrence Thomas, 704 Roselle Jones, Cocoa, Florida, 32922. I'm here to discuss, I want to talk about a fence that I put up that I was repairing. I was repairing a fence at between 704 and 710, which is 708. I had an incident where the police was chasing somebody doing carjacking, and the individual came through the property, came over to the back door at the resident that I'm renting, and held the gun to my kids at the back door, and demanded that they let them in. The helicopter hoovering over the house. I put up a fence. I was repairing a fence, and I was stopped by the code enforcement officer. I just want to try to secure the property and protect my family. And I let my little girl play on the property. I can't take her to Provost Park because I'm scared she might get a needle or something stuck in her finger out there, you know, from all the activity that's going on out there, negative activity. So I put up a fence to try to secure something for my daughter. So I'm asking that y'all please grant me the fence or give me a permit to put the gate on to finish it up.
Thank you very much, Mr. Thomas. Mr. City Manager? Yes, sir. Did you hear him, Mr. Thomas?
No, I didn't.
Mr. City Manager, would you state I heard you?
We'll give you a staff report to the council there. I know I talked to Mrs. Bunt on that issue last week, I think it was.
Okay. Mrs. Bernice Cox, please.
Good evening, council, staff. My name is Bernice Cox. I reside at 701 Aurora Street, Cocoa. And I need an answer for something that I'm very frustrated about. That's where I am right now, delegations. I need to know, when someone comes on a delegation, do they have to be residents of the city of Cocoa? The reason I'm asking, because people come before this delegation and insult council, disrespect staff, and they don't even live in the city limits. And I need to know what are the limits on delegations? Do they have to live in Cocoa, or they can live anywhere and just come in and disrespect council and staff?
Mr. City Attorney, would you answer a question, please, sir?
Yes, certainly. The people that can speak on the delegations are set forth in the council's rules of procedure. And we can certainly give you a copy of the rules so you can actually see it in writing. Generally, citizens and property owners of the city of Cocoa have the right to come onto delegations to speak on matters of general concern. But sewer and water customers also can come to the city and speak on matters pertaining to the water and sewer. And then city employees also have the ability to come and speak on matters of employment. Furthermore, given the statutory change about 5 years ago, delegations is opened up also to allow anybody to come, any member of the public to come and speak on consent items that are on the consent agenda that don't have their own public hearing. And that's because the Florida legislature allows any member of the public, regardless of where they reside, to come and speak on items that will be disposed and acted upon by the city council. at a meeting.
So in other words, they can come up here and just say anything they wish and not be interrupted. Say they insult you, they insult the mayor, they insult the councilman, they insult the police department.
There are also, as you know, just general rules of First Amendment and, that are in the rules. I think, you know, the rules are pretty comprehensive. I mean, we'd be happy to give you a copy of them so you can see, the
Alrighty.
parameters of speech.
So I got my own opinion on that one, thank you. Next one is, Public Works. Public Works has posted no parking at any time, all the way down Provost Park and all the way down to Arlington Apartments. Those signs are in effect. Some of them have been maybe backed over, a couple of them. Well, I know one on, at the park is. But code enforcement, every time I pass there, there's a truck there making sure that they don't park there. The only problem at Arlington, those people work. They don't park there during the day, but after, you know, after the code enforcement leaves, they park back over on that no parking side. And the Provost Park issue, I don't think it's so much the guys in the park that's such a big problem, because before Family Dollar fenced that area in, the soccer guys, they really took over. They were all in the parking lot of Family Dollars, cooking, parking over there. It was awful until the Family Dollar owner fenced his place in. Those guys that's in that park, they all got they don't, you know, they're not bothering anybody. They might use drugs or whatever, but they're not bothering anybody. They can't get jobs because most of them got felons, you know. So that's just something that has always been, and it's like it says, Provost Park. Anybody can go there. And my last one is pertaining to our new councilman, Councilman Hearn. He's already proven to me that he wants to be Cocoa strong. He had a Christmas toy drive at his house in his district, Christmas, I think it was that Thursday. He was a part of the trash bash with other council members. And Monday, he was substituting at Endeavor School in his district. And I want to thank you, Councilman Hearn.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Cox. Next on the list will be Mrs. Donna Kettner. Would you please come forward, please?
Oh.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Mayor Blake,
Good evening, ma'am.
council. I have a couple of things here. I was sad to hear about the passing of Jake Williams. He was a kind and caring man and will be missed. I emailed him on Tuesday the 22nd. The music is so loud I can feel it inside my house. 4 weeks in a row. I reported this to the police. Do we have a noise ordinance, ? I texted him. On December 23rd at 11:51 a.m., he replied to me, yes, we do, and I'm so sorry you're having to deal with this. I will be speaking to the owner today, and I have their phone number. And Chief Hankins, praying you are staying safe. I'm still working behind the scenes. Happy holidays and God bless you. I have to say again, he will be greatly missed. If I called him or texted him, he always replied back to me. A lot of you know of my flooding issue. Since the new construction behind my building, it will still flood. As Matt knows, it's a waterfall. It's Niagara behind my building. So he came to my store many times to see what I was going through, 3 inches of water coming in the back of my building. So I would like to speak to Matt. I've called you a couple of times this week. I didn't hear back from you, but I would like to meet with you and the new city manager. The back of my building was broken into this week. The beer garden left a big ladder out, so it was very convenient for them to go on my roof and bust through the skylight in my store. And there was enough trash and wood laying behind my building from the beer garden that they pried the back door open to the store next to me, which is part of my building. So I want to talk about crime. I want to talk about noise ordinances. I'm not against a good time, but I can hear the bass in my house, and that's just a little too loud. And I love music, but that's way too loud. I saw a billboard on US 1. Are we really, during a pandemic, going to have a Mardi Gras in the village? That's a concern. And then there's a few more things, but I know my time is up. But there were fireworks on New Year's Eve that are still laying behind my building that they shot off, that's all burned up. That's just looking to set our buildings on fire down there. I mean, this is ridiculous. There has to be some ordinances to clean up the back alleys. I have security cameras. I have an alarm system that saved us. But we need a little bit of presence of the police department to patrol our area downtown. Crime is up again. It's been a full circle. Mayor Blake, you know I've been here a long time. And it's been a full circle. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Did Mrs. Kettner, did you read your, state your address? I'm not sure if I did.
103 Derby Street.
Thank you kindly, ma'am. Do you have any cards, Mrs. Shealy, ma'am?
No more for delegations.
Thank you very much, ma'am.
We have an e-comment.
Okay.
Sorry.
Go ahead.
Oh, you ready?
Just before she reads that, I did talk with the city attorney about that because I was concerned about some of the language in there, and I don't know if he wants to relay that conversation. But basically, the council started the e-comments when the governor issued the executive order on meetings, and so we've accepted e-comments as just as though the person is walking up to the podium, and have not paraphrased those and have read those verbatim. And so, again, was concerned with some of the language in this, but after speaking with the city attorney, I believe to be fair and to apply the rules the way we've applied it to the previous citizens who submitted e-comments there, she's going to be compelled to read it into the record the way it was presented to the council.
Thank you, Mr. City Manager. This is Jamadi, ma'am.
Yeah, and just, I'm gonna run the timer just as if the person was here, so the 3 minutes. Okay. Yeah, so this is an e-comment received from Lawrence Sinclair at 1052 Mitchell Street, Cocoa, Florida. Mayor Blake, City Manager Witten, and City Attorney Garganese. In August 2020, the previous mayor took it upon himself to defame, libel, and slander myself, Broadmoor Acres Community Restoration and Preservation, Inc., and city staff with the aid and cooperation of then interim city manager Fuhrer by accusing myself, Backcrap, and city staff of being engaged in a development scheme. Deputy Mayor Goins took it upon himself to put his 2 cents in these baseless accusations to try and further his involvement in a Section 8 development. Goins and Williams had promised city-owned property to developers for. Williams announced a call for an FBI investigation. I'm formally giving the city notice that any and all alleged information Williams is said to have turned over to FBI be made public without any further delay. I am formally giving the city of Cocoa notice to either publicly confirm an FBI investigation is active or to publicly put this scam by Williams to rest along with him. While I have been contacted and asked to drop my challenge to Hearn, let me be clear in stating exactly what I stated to Mr. Hearn in a personal meeting with him. I am not going to attack him, but on the same token, I am not withdrawing or dropping my court challenge against him or the city of Cocoa. I would be remiss if I did not mention and be completely transparent that I believe I was contacted and asked to drop my challenge of Hearn's election because it is believed Hearn would cast a favorable vote on this council agenda item, especially when these very same individuals thought the charter and law should apply to others but not Hearn. I would point out that should Hearn cast a vote that was later nullified with his removal by the courts, the city would only find itself in yet another pickle. I also have a real issue with individuals in the city injecting themselves in matters and setting meetings where they freely drop council members' names in their efforts to accomplish a particular goal. This activity, in my opinion, can constitute sunshine law violations. I will not compromise myself or my sincere belief that the rules and the laws should apply to everyone. And I allow myself to be bought off to allow the charter and the law to be violated because it benefits someone I know. That's it.
Thank you, ma'am. All righty. I guess this concludes this portion of delegations, and I think, Mr. Walsh, you have a comment on concerning the consent agenda?
I
Sir.
do, Mayor. Thank you, sir.
Yes,
Just
sir.
one comment on the first item, number 1, on the consent. Under that, that's the task order for Blessed Mayor to complete the final engineering for areas J and K, which is along Indian River Drive. We were remiss in not stating that we would be seeking reimbursement under the Save Our Indian River Lagoon program for the engineering fees, as well as in the future when we come back for the actual construction. As a city, we're required to fund that money, but we will be able to, and should be able to, and we will seek to get reimbursement for those expenses. That's all.
Okay, sir.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Walsh. What are the wishes of council? We have a motion on the floor by Deputy Mayor Goins,
Second.
second by Councilman Dow. Chair's gonna call the question. All in favor by saying aye?
Aye.
Any nays? Ayes have it. Okay, all right. As you know, this is public hearing, consideration of a binding development agreement between the City of Cocoa, Florida, and M&R United, consistent with Appendix A zoning of the City Code to approve conceptual development plan for a single-story commercial building type, which is a retail development and a drive-through use on a parcel of land in the waterfront sub-district of Cocoa Waterfront Overlay District. Okay, Mrs. Dresser, would you like to expound, ma'am?
Mrs. Bunt would like to expound.
Did I say that? Please forgive me. Mrs. Bunt, I'm sorry, ma'am.
Dodie Seeliger, our Planning and Zoning Manager, has a short presentation for you.
Thank you. I apologize, Mrs. Bunt. I'm in trouble. I'm in deep trouble.
I'm going to ask the council's forgiveness. We're going to try a slightly different technology and get someone on the phone before we actually begin that. Mr. Beach, could you give him a ring?
God have mercy.
Good evening, Mr. Hammond. This is the City of Cocoa's council meeting, and you're on our speakerphone. I'm going to give a presentation now, and we wanted you to be able to hear and then be able to participate after when council opens it up to the applicant. But we don't have a way to mute you, so you might want to mute yourself, and then we'll let you know as soon as we get to open to the public comment, if that's all right with you.
That's fine.
Okay, thanks so much. All right. So this item before you is a development agreement between the city and M&R United. The property is at 100 Delanoy Avenue. It is a single-story commercial building right now, and the intent is to build an additional replacement single-story building type with retail and a drive-through use. The property is mixed use, and it has a central business district zoning and a waterfront sub-district under the Cocoa Waterfront Overlay District. The property owner is desiring to construct the new building. It'll have 2 retail spaces, roughly 1,700 square feet each, and a quick-serve restaurant space of 2,500 square feet with the drive-through facility, which, based on the provisions of the development agreement, must be limited to a nationally recognized coffee shop chain. 2 items of note. One is that a drive-through facility, based on our code, requires a approval of a special exception from the Board of Adjustment. The board met on December 16th of 2020 and heard that special exception, voted to approve with a condition that the approval shall be dependent upon council's approval of the development agreement and subject to the terms and conditions of the agreement. And the other point that I would like to bring to your attention is that the waterfront overlay district requires additional conditions on a drive-through. They are essentially, the drive-through lanes would be located in the rear of the building and not visible from any street, integrated into the building, and be surrounded by a wall and a hedge. The city recognizes that this site, which is surrounded by public right-of-way on all four sides, makes meeting those provisions of the code very difficult, and therefore we have before you this development agreement. Part of the provisions would be reduction in the minimum frontage build-out requirement on the east, north, and south sides, and a change to the masonry wall requirement to allow part of it to be a hedge instead of a wall. And through the development agreement, the applicant proposes to provide public parking easement over the parking lot that would be after the close of business for the coffee shop anchor tenant. So here's a location map for anyone not familiar with the property. It's between 520 and East and 520 West. I'm sorry, my clicker's gone away. Well, okay. I was going to use the light, but it seems to have disappeared. There's currently 2 access points on the north side of the property and 2 on the south side, and 1 on the west side. And staff, as well as the applicant, have met with FDOT in the past to discuss access points. I'm just kind of bringing it up while we have this slide up. The FDOT has requested closing the north side west entrance and the south side west entrance. And then the applicant is choosing to close the one on Delanoy. So the 2 remaining points would be the one on the northeast corner and the one on the southeast corner of the site. This is the landscape plan. It's a little easier to kind of visualize. The new building will sit roughly in the same footprint as the existing building, pretty much the same existing parking. You would enter either north or south, but at the east end of the property, circle through the drive-through from the north side, down the west side, and out the south side. This is the east elevation, the front of the building, with the drive-through entry on the right and exit on the left. So there's the north side, west side, back of the building eventually, and then the south side for the pickup area. There was a traffic study submitted by the applicant which indicates that additional modification to the site are necessary to ensure safe ingress and egress to the site. There's a section detailing the modifications that was added to the development agreement, including the addition of a raised pork chop to be installed on Willard Street, just after the turn onto River Edge Boulevard. This is in order to create a deceleration lane for traffic that's slowing on Willard Street to move out of the traffic lane. In addition, the applicant was asked to address whether any negative safety impacts to motorists on 520 might arise due to queuing in the proposed drive-through. Applicant's traffic study has demonstrated that given anticipated wait times in the drive-through and the location of the ingress and egress points on the site, which allow further queuing to happen on-site in the parking aisles if necessary, the drive-through queuing and stacking should not occur to an extent that it would extend onto 520, causing traffic hazards. I'm going to bring that one back up and turn it over to Public Works for just a moment. If our director would like to chime in, and then I'll come back.
Yes, I was just going to touch on some of the safety improvements, both on as part of this project and DOT related to this area. One of the items, we don't have the pointer out. If you could see with the mouse, I'm pointing at it now up on the screen. They're including a raised curve here. That's going to help prevent your westbound traffic from flying down where it's a turn lane for River Edge. Currently, people just use that to go straight into Brevard. That's going to prevent that. That's going to help people slow down. They'll have to slow down in that middle lane to get into the site, which in turn slow down traffic at the bottom of the bridge, which we know a lot of people probably going 50, 55 at least, and a 35 there. The turn lane itself also helps with that. It prevents a driver from having to stop and turn into it, which helps prevent your rear end traffic there and allows people to safely get into the site. You also have the turn lane on the eastbound side, which does the same thing. You allow your traffic to slow down and enter the site safely. As far as internal to the site, you can see here, the site's really been maximized for the queuing. The drive-throughs on the opposite side of the entry and exit points of it. So even if you were to queue up into the parking lot, you do have the turn lanes that you could queue traffic into. That'd be well over 20 cars. That's pretty significant for any site to need that much queuing. FDOT, the design should be awarded next month. I believe February 15th is the date. So it's a resurfacing project, which includes safety modifications from Aurora to this location, the bottom of the bridge at River Edge. Part of those are traffic calming techniques, lane reductions, more of these kind of bulb outs here that prevent people from flying down. On King Street, good example is that right turn lane. People use that as a merge lane. So there's going to be some modifications that should help prevent that in the future. That project is scheduled for kind of mid to late 2022, which is a good time frame for this as well. And we should see those modifications make a pretty big impact in the area as far as your traffic speeds. It's not just traffic improvements, but it's pedestrian improvements as well. I know some talk's been about the traffic generation with this type of site. It's a coffee shop with a drive-through. Generally, your trips involved with that, it's 89%, so it's about 90% is what's called pass-by traffic. That means the traffic's already on the road. Only 10, 11% of drivers are actually going out of their way to come to this site. So that's one thing to take into account on that. I believe it's roughly 300 net trips on the site, and I know the traffic engineer may touch on that if needed as well. If there's any questions about the traffic or site circulation, I'd be happy to answer them.
Mr. Smith, sir, about the cars stacking up, 20 cars, you stated that the building was elongated, so that will offset?
Yes, sir. So with the drive-through being where it is over on this location, the cars just within their drive-through alone, here's your service window.
Yes, sir.
You could potentially, you show the stacking here. This is where you're ordering. Even if you queued out into here, this is another 10 to 12 cars. And if you were to queue from cars coming this way, they could queue out into this turn lane. That's not very likely. That's, like I said, over 20 cars. You would more than likely see people queuing around in here as well, which keeps that within the site. But this is generally a pretty quick serve type thing. You're not sitting in this more than a minute or two.
Correct. Okay. Thank you very much, sir. You answered my question. This was approved by the P&Z board, and I also received a phone call from the former mayor and also from the former councilman that were in support of this as well. Do we have any questions for Mr. Smith or Mrs. Doty? Seelig?
We did receive some public comment that I need to share with you,
Yes, ma'am.
if you don't mind. This one is from Albert Ingham. It says, I'm writing you today to express my opinion with the new drive-through Starbucks and other business plans for the Delanoy and 520 property. After reviewing the plans, I feel there is no safety hazard concerning vehicle or foot traffic. The plans appear to be well thought out, having an easy entry and exit on both sides, as well as a long enough drive-through to accommodate all the traffic that would use the location. That being said, the location does not appear to be a part of Cocoa Village, thus not affecting the historic feel and look to the community. Furthermore, as a resident of Cocoa, I feel that this proposed business plan will benefit our community greatly and will as well provide many job and career opportunities to many residents and help lower our unemployment rates. Starbucks can hire up to 20 or 30 residents to work here. Please take all these points into consideration when the council makes their decision at the meeting. I really love living in this city and only want to see it grow in the right direction, and this plan looks to be the best start in a long time. I wish you a happy new year, and thank you very much for taking time to read my concerns. Excuse me.
Bless you.
The next is from Anastasia Hawkins. Greeting council members. The Shaws are longstanding supporters of Cocoa and the Space Coast community. They have truly been an active part in the history and success of our playhouse and have a heart for people. Their business acumen and charitable natures make them benefactors to many businesses, charities, and organizations. As such, I fully support their plans to convert the old SunTrust Bank to a Starbucks. I believe this will be an economic boon to our entire village and the welfare of our community's economy. The next is from Dave Collins, who said, "Absolutely opposed!" exclamation. The next is from Michael, I'll probably mispronounce the last name. It's Neville or Nivel. He said, "I support the proposed Starbucks drive-through at former SunTrust site on 520 in Cocoa." And the next is from Tom Wasden. He said, "I sent a previous email recommending that the city approve the application for Starbucks. As an owner of over 70 commercial and residential units in historic Cocoa Village, I again highly recommend this project be approved. I recommend that the city and the owner work out any issues to make this happen. A new business like Starbucks would be a boost to the village. We do not want to miss this opportunity to bring a new business to the village. We live in the village and have been in business in the village for over 20 years. And that was it for the public comments.
Is that it, ma'am?
Yes.
Do we have any questions for Mrs. Seelig or any other staff members? Seeing none, Chair would like to close this portion to staff and open to the public. Please be mindful that we have something like over 10 cards now. So I'm asking everyone to be concise and to the point. Convey your thoughts clearly so that no one will get them misconstrued. Please, ma'am. Please, sir. First on the list will be Michael Christopher. Is he present? Please come forward and state your name and your address for us, sir.
Michael D. Christopher, 1777 Wavecrest Street in Merritt Island. I'm a property owner here in the village, and I'm in support of the project that's come before the board today. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. And if I mispronounce your last name, please forgive me. Alec Greenwood. I'm gonna send you back to a parochial school, man. It's like Greek to me, man. My students make me go blind already. Okay, thank you, sir.
Well, that's my heritage. I didn't know any English when I was a kid.
I got my glasses, but I'm just there. Yes, sir. Thank you.
Real quick, to honor what you had asked, Mayor and the council, I'll be concise and to the point. We basically have a situation here where
Bless
you
you.
have three professional engineers that support it. You have two city boards that supported it. You also have the commercial property group unanimously supported it. There are landlords in the downtown area. The only negatives that basically, as was stated in the newspaper today, are concerns about competition and accidents. Now, the accidents have been addressed. Competition, well, I've seen Walgreens and I've seen CVS right across the street from each other. So I really feel that this is something that we need, and it'll put Cocoa on the map, because when you do see a franchise locate in any location, it usually means, hey, there's something going on over there. You need to check it out. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Greenwood. Sir, Mr. Ed Green.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, Council, Mr. City Manager, Mr. City Attorney. First,
May I
I
have your
want to say.
address, please, sir? Your address for the record?
Ed Green, 104 Riverside Drive, Cocoa. Thank you. First, I'd like to say that I think we're very fortunate to have the Shaw family involved in this project because they are people who have both the vision and the means to do something with a key property within our boundary. This vacant building there is doing nobody any good, and I think that what they're proposing is a good development. That said, I have concerns about traffic safety. I know engineers have looked at it. I have read the engineering report that was attached to the application. I read it beginning to end. It was not a pleasant read, but I read it anyhow. And I can see where the engineers have shown that the deceleration lanes will mitigate problems with traffic entering the property. The thing I did not see addressed was traffic exiting the property. Traffic coming out of the property will be at a stop and trying to enter a high-speed left lane of traffic that's going 50 miles an hour or more, and it's doing that on both the eastbound and the westbound. I consider that a problem. The traffic study shows that in the peak hour, there'd be 55 cars approximately westbound and 53 cars eastbound, a total of 108 cars in the peak hour. That means that every 33 seconds or so, there'll be a vehicle from a dead stop trying to merge into 50-mile-an-hour traffic in the left lane. This is exacerbated by westbound traffic that might want to leave that property and head north on North Indian River Drive. Traffic eastbound that might want to leave that property and cut across 3 lanes of traffic to get onto River Edge Drive and come back to the village. So there are issues that are worthy of consideration and further study. I've looked at an email that was received by a friend of mine from the project manager at FDOT regarding the corridor study that has been mentioned. And when you look through the corridor study, it's a 34-page document, and you look at the document, you look at the drawings at the end, it is apparent that this, what is known as the final study, doesn't have any of the improvement features that were shown previously by Mr. Smith. They're not incorporated into that FDOT study. FDOT's going to spend $7.9 million in the next 18 months or so to improve that traffic flow. Whatever is done with this property needs to be coordinated with the FDOT. It needs to be incorporated, and we need to take a long, hard look at how we are going to safely get traffic in and out of that site. And that I'm sure we can do. I'm sure that there's a solution to be found, and I ask the board to not move forward tonight, but to gain whatever information is necessary to address and mitigate those problems. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Green. Next on the list, I'm not going to destroy your last name, but it's Miss Pam, S-H-A-I-A. Shahia?
You can do it.
Share?
There you go.
Okay.
You did it.
Thank you. We
Good
did.
evening.
We
Good
did.
evening, Mr.
Good evening.
Mayor,
Good evening, ma'am.
council, and staff. I'm Pam Shea, and I'm representing tonight the historic Cocoa Village Main Street. I also own Tales at the Barkery, so my address for that should be 308 Bavard Avenue. Out of concern for safety, historic Cocoa Village Main Street distributed a survey to this community. A copy of the survey and the results was provided to the city manager's office and to council. 75% of those responses have serious concerns about the safety of the drive-through, as Mr. Green just pointed out, as proposed in the layout. At this location, discounting the responses that were not relevant to the survey, which was specifically about public safety, the percentage in opposition even grows. It's higher. I personally have been in direct contact with both Laura Pearson, FDOT Program Manager, and Heidi Trivett, FDOT Program Manager for this development. I requested the Dangerous by Design report, which is conducted by an independent organization, Smart Growth America, which ranks states and metropolitan areas across this country using their proprietary formula known as Pedestrian Danger Index. I'm sure, Chief, you're aware of that index, or it's called PDI. It reported that as the Metro Collective ranked this intersection third nationwide dangerous by design. That is before we've added anything to it. This was completed in their study in 2017. Redeveloping this site is very important to the economic health and development of Cocoa Village. Another empty building is such a distraction, and we are fortunate to have a proactive property owner who has a vision and willing to invest for a positive growth for this community. However, we are asking that tonight you do not allow this development to continue. We are asking before you move forward to please consider the current access points as proposed, adding additional traffic hazards to this intersection. Thank you.
Thank you very much, ma'am. Next on the list will be Ms. Nancy Elliott.
Good evening.
Good
Nancy
evening.
Elliott, 3406 Indian River Drive. Also 318 Delanoy, 2 buildings south of the proposed development. I was going to somewhat reiterate and emphasize the traffic safety position, but something has come up in this presentation that has me even more concerned. The traffic study that was presented, I should also say, I serve on the Board of Adjustment, and I was one of the 2 negative votes for this project as it is currently devised and presented. Presented to the Board of Adjustment and also to Planning and Zoning was a traffic study developed for a nationally recognized coffee shop chain. And yet tonight, on the first page of this document that you all are being asked to approve, it's called a quick serve restaurant. 2 entirely different things. It's one thing if we're talking coffee shop traffic. If all of a sudden we're flipping and calling it a quick serve restaurant, we're talking McDonald's traffic. I don't think that a traffic study that was developed for a coffee chain should be used if indeed we're talking about a quick serve restaurant. Can we make that language a little bit more consistent, Mr. Attorney? Sir.
You can speak to us as a whole body, Ms. Nancy, please, Mrs. Elliott, out of respect.
That worries me a lot, because I thought we were talking about one thing, and now we're talking about something potentially different. Back to my original point, this traffic estimated 2,000 plus customers per day. That's 2,000 interjections into through traffic. It doesn't really matter whether it's going to be adding more traffic to 520, who knows? It's going to be adding 2,000 interruptions to through traffic. And as we've already seen, there is no access eastbound, no transition from the property to the through traffic. It's just jump right in the lanes. I'm sorry I got off point. It probably wasn't the best presentation, but I really am concerned about this change of language in the documents. That's my biggest concern. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mrs. Elliott, ma'am. Next on the list, Rob Perone, Mayor of Merritt Island.
Ralph Perone, 2398 Newfound Harbor Drive, Merritt Island. I have two commercial location buildings right there within the close proximity of this location. One is to the direct north at Mariner Square, third floor corner unit. I have one at 226 King Street. I'm here to support this project. I also like to state that I met with David Lightholder and our State Representative Tyler Soroy with several representatives from DOT. We've been working on for a while changing the so-called, as they call it, the landscape of 520 King Street to slow the traffic down in that area from US 1 all the way to the bridge. It's something that I've had concerns about owning 226 King Street, as well as some of the bars that have opened up on King Street where people exit the bars after they've had several drinks onto a public sidewalk, which is right there at 520. And I'm concerned someone's going to get hit by a car. So I've been working on this for a long time to try to change that. And they're receptive to that. They're working with us on it. One of the comments they made is a lot of it's about education, changing the landscape of the road to where, you know, law enforcement would do some more education with people. So I'm in support of this project. I think it'd be great for the community. As a real estate investor, I think it's going to enhance our values and enhance our tax base. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Merritt Island Ralph Perone. Moving on to the next individual, please, Scott Sewell, sir, come forward.
Good evening to all.
Good evening.
Scott Sewell, 607 Florida Avenue, here in the village. I'm a resident of the village as well as one of the owners of Village Timeout across the street. As a lifelong real estate developer, I'm very much in favor of this project. I would personally like to thank the Shaw family for the time, effort, and money they've spent to get to this point. And I would strongly encourage you guys to pass this project. I think it will be good for all of us. Thank you.
Thank you, Scott. Next, Diana Lynn.
Hello, good evening.
Good evening.
Diana Lynn, resident and business owner of the village, 9 Stone Street, Dog and Bone British Pub. Could I first go back real quick to Donna's inquiry about the noise ordinance? When she brought that up, I thought it was important that I mention, over a year ago, I had many concerns about the same noise, and I called many, many times and actually met with Chief Cantaloupe, and I was told that because I was the only complaint, it didn't matter, and that he was not going to enforce it until there was more complaints. So I just wanted to bring that up, because I think it's obnoxious, and there is a noise ordinance, and I think when there is an ordinance, it should be enforced. So I just like to be in support of Donna's complaint. I'm pro this. I'm very familiar with the Shaw family and his businesses. I'm over the 40 years that I've been involved in this county. All of their businesses have enhanced all the areas that they've had a presence in. In the 7 years that I've been involved as a business in this village, I've only seen it flounder. We're desperately in need of this economic boom. We no longer have cruise ships, passengers coming in. We don't have the snowbirds. We have more and more business. We have more businesses opening than closing right now. I just find that we have enough empty buildings in this area, and I only see this as a positive because I think that the Shaw family and the engineers and everyone involved will do everything it takes to take care of the safety issues and everything that matters in this case. Thank you. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you very much, Mrs. Lynn. Can you read that? Can you read that? Whoever resides at 93 Delano Avenue, would you please come forward? Ms. Carey? Oh, Ms. Carey. Hieroglyphics. So, yes, sir, would you state your name and your address for us, please, sir?
My name is Jim Milburn. I live at 93 Delano Avenue, number 304.
Yes, sir, Mr. Melbourne. Thank you.
Okay, about 25 years ago, a man by the name of Mike Shaw came to the city of Cocoa. Mike had been in the hotel and motel business, and he decided he wanted to get into the gasoline and service station business. So he went down by the water tower in Cocoa, and across the street, my wife owned a service station. So after about 6 months of negotiation, Mike bought the service station. He liked it so much that later on he got interest in approximately 100 service stations and in the gasoline distribution business. Mike is an excellent businessman. He buys property, he improves it, he sells it, he makes a profit. He can afford to develop this piece of property, the old bank business, and I'm sure he will take the funds that he has and make this an excellent site. And that combined with the Hilton Hotel would really help the city of Cocoa. It would bring in new business. It will get local people to come to Cocoa to get coffee and whatever. And in the process, the city should get some improvement on business and help all the businesses down in Cocoa Village. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Melbourne. I have two cards. Is it Sharon? No? Okay, come on up, please, ma'am. Okay.
I'm Jim's wife. I'm Sarah Milburn, and
Your address for me, please, for the records?
I beg your pardon?
May I have your address for the records, please, ma'am?
Whitley Bay.
Okay, 93 Delano.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
And y'all don't want to lose this man. What he has done for Cocoa and still doing for Cocoa, and he is the best friend, the best person, and the whole family. And he would not be putting this Starbucks coffee shop in Cocoa if he thought that it would harm anybody. I mean, accidents and so on. So I highly recommend him. Okay? Thank you kindly.
Thank you, Mrs. Melbourne. Okay. Mrs. Shealy, do you have any more cards, or is that it, ma'am? Okay, thank you very much. Chair would like to close this portion to the public and return it to council. Do we have any comments from council before I decide to take action? Any comments? Seeing none, Chair would like to make the approval of the binding development agreement between the City of Cocoa, Florida and M&R United, Inc., consistent to and with the Appendix A zoning of the City Code to approve the conceptual development for the single-story commercial building with the type of retail development and a drive-through views for a nationally recognized coffee shop chain on the parcel land in the waterfront sub-district of the great City of Cocoa Waterfront Overlay District. Chair is looking for a second. Second by Deputy Mayor Goins. Do we have any questions or comments? Saying none, Chair's gonna call the question. All in favor by saying aye?
Aye.
Any nays? Ayes have it, unanimous. Yes. Great job, staff. Mrs. Bunt, ma'am, you have anything you would like to say? Okay, great job, Mrs. Seeley. Proceeding on to the next item, the consideration of the future land use map, FLUM, amendment consistent with the Florida State Statute, Chapter 163, for the applicant initiated requests to change the Florida use map designation of one parcel from Brevard County Community Commercial to the City of Cocoa Industrial. This is changing from the PVC property Cox on US 1, Cox Road and US 1. We're doing a change of the zoning.
Future land use.
Thank you, ma'am. Future land use. Any questions?
Okay, this is, Mayor's ordinance number 01-2021, an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Cocoa, Brevard County, Florida, relating to comprehensive planning, amending the future land use map for one parcel of real property within the City of Cocoa consisting of .60 acres more or less on State Road 520 west of Cox Road and east of Townsend Road, being legally described on Exhibit A attached here 2, changing the future land use map designation of the real property from Brevard County Community Commercial to City of Cocoa Industrial, providing for the repeal of prior inconsistent ordinances and resolutions, incorporation into the comprehensive plan, severability, and an effective date and legal status of the plan amendment. This is a public hearing item. Mayor.
Thank you very much, Mr. City Attorney. Any questions? Seeing none, Chair would like to close this portion to council and open to the public. Please come forward and state your name and your address. You have 180 seconds to elaborate at this particular agenda item. Going once, going twice. Chair would like to close this portion of the public hearing and open it back to council. What are the wishes of council?
Motion to approve.
We have a motion on the floor by Deputy Mayor Goins. Second by Councilman Hearns. Chair's gonna call the question. All in favor by saying aye.
Aye.
Any nays? Ayes have it unanimously. Proceeding on to item number 7-3, ordinance number 20-2020, repealing section 276 of the city code, reimbursement of travel-related expenses. This is an ordinance. Would you like to say anything, Mrs. Bowman? And then I would like for our city attorney to expound on the item.
This is just second reading, second and final reading of the ordinance, which, changes the adoption of the travel policy from an ordinance to a resolution.
Thank you very much, Mrs. Bowman. Mr. City Attorney, sir.
This is ordinance 20-2020, an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Cocoa, Brevard County, Florida, repealing section 2-76 of the city code relating to reimbursement of travel expenses, recognizing that the city council may establish future travel policies by resolution, providing for the repeal of prior inconsistent ordinances and resolutions, incorporation into the code, severability, and an effective date. This is second and final reading, also a public hearing item. Mayor.
Thank you very much, Mr. Garganese, sir. Any questions? Chair would like to close this portion to council and open to the public. Please come forward and state your name. You have 180 seconds, politely known as 3 minutes, to expound, elaborate, collaborate with this particular agenda item. Going once, going twice. Chair would like to close this portion to the public and return it to council. What are the wishes of council?
Motion to approve.
We have a motion on the floor by Councilman Hearn.
Second.
Second by Councilman Dow. Chair's gonna call the question. All in favor by saying aye.
Aye.
Any nays? Ayes have it unanimously. Proceeding on to item number 8-1, council business. Consider the application of Ms. Sherry Scott as the second alternate member of the Code Enforcement Board.
Motion to approve.
We have a motion on the floor by Deputy Mayor Goins.
Second.
Second by Councilman Dial. Chair's gonna call the question. All in favor by saying aye.
Aye.
Any nays? Is Mrs. Scott in the audience?
No.
Okay, that's your board. Yes, sir. Proceeding on to item number 8-2. Consider the appointment of Patricia Weeks as a regular member and Caitlin Alanio as a second alternate to the Board of Adjustment. What are the wishes of council?
Motion to approve?
We have a motion on the floor by Councilman Dial.
Second.
Second by Deputy Mayor Goins. Chair's gonna call the question. All in favor by saying aye.
Aye.
Any nays? Ayes have it unanimously. Mrs. Weeks, you're in the audience. Please, let's recognize her and give her a round of applause. Thank you for your commitment and dedication to make our city a better place to live. Teamwork is dream work, ma'am, and you're part of our team. So we thank you very much. Also make a note that the second alternate, Mr. Randall Heister, would move up to first alternate. Okay, proceeding on to the next item, consider the appointment of Ms. Dawn Orr as a regular member of the Sustainability Advisory Board. But before we address that issue, which I'm in support of, help me understand the intentions and purpose of the Sustainability Board. I'm new. I know it's in existence. How long have they been in existence? What are their short-term goals, long-term goals? What do they stand and represent? I just want to make sure I get the full and complete comprehension. Could someone elaborate?
I guess that would be me. Sustainability Advisory Board was in effect approximately 2 years now. They typically meet monthly. Their goals, I can provide you the resolution that goes into a little bit further detail. However, they look at different aspects of the city as far as sustainability, resiliency. We applied for several grants through the East Central Florida Regional Planning Council to assist them with their plan. And then we also had an intern from FIT. So currently, like I said, they meet the first Thursday of the month. They've also, because it took a little bit longer for them to get the plan going, they had working group meetings. And so they've been meeting about once a month, once or twice a month or so on these working group meetings that they've been taking on some initiatives like the trails, looking at Florida-friendly landscaping. Currently, they're working on reviewing the resiliency plan and making recommendations and prioritizing some of those recommendations.
Okay, I have a simple question, ma'am. This board, is there a sunset for this board, or will it continue on to the nth degree? That's what I'm trying to get understanding. That's what I would like to know. Is there a short-term goal, long-term goal? What was the intention of this board when it was established? And if you can give me that information so I can have the opportunity to review it, I certainly would appreciate it. Sirs and ma'ams, Mr. City Manager and Mrs. Bunt. Okay, what are the wishes of council for Mrs. Dawn Orr, who's applied for membership of this board?
Motion to approve.
We have a motion on the floor by Councilman Hearn, and I'll second that. Chair's gonna call the question. All in favor by saying aye?
Aye.
Any nays? Ayes have it unanimously. Proceeding on to the next item, consider whether to allow the City of Cocoa Emergency Ordinance 13-2020 requiring face coverings to remain in effect or terminate the ordinance. Okay, got a quick question. I'll let you read it in, Esquire Garganese first, so I'll be compliant.
For this ordinance, Mayor, it's not necessary to read in. It's already been approved. The only issue for the council is whether or not the council desires to terminate this emergency ordinance. If not, this ordinance will remain in effect. I think at one of the previous reviews, after you were elected, there was one modification, an emergency ordinance to allow for the face shields.
Yes, sir.
So, that was the only amendment since it was initially enacted.
Instead of coming once every 30 days, Esquire Garganese, can we extend it to 90 days? Would you all consider that? And that would require a motion, sir, Esquire Garganese?
That would require a motion and approval by the council, and it would have to be in the form of an emergency ordinance. It's a pretty technical minor change, so the ordinance form can be prepared after the meeting, but if the council desires to have a review every 90 days.
Okay.
It's one simple change to section 10 of the ordinance.
Okay. What I will do with the blessings of council, keep it as is with your blessings, council members. Approve this one, and then maybe, I know I would like for us to consider maybe a 90 day instead of every 30 days.
Makes sense.
Basically, that's a good consensus?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you, gentlemen. Seeing that I don't have to read into this, Mr. Assistant City Manager, Mr. Fury, you have any comments on this particular item?
Nothing further to add, sir.
Okay, sir. Thank you very much, sir. Chair would like to make a motion to approve.
Second.
We have a second by the Deputy Mayor Goins.
Really necessary, but.
Sir, did I miss something?
It's not really necessary to have any motion. The ordinance will remain in effect, and in 30 days, we'll bring it back. But I suppose that you would want to consider that 90 days.
Yes.
30 days from now. So when we bring this back to you next time, we'll have an emergency ordinance changing the time period from 30 to 90.
Okay.
And then we'll go from there.
Thank you very much. Okay, all right, well, that's one we can mark off the record books, sir. Thank you very much. Item number 8-5, approve the requested 2021 street closures, which we do in an annual event with the association with the proposed special events. Mrs. Singer, ma'am.
Thank you, sir.
Yes, ma'am.
Before you, you have a list of all of the special events for the year that have come forward requesting a street closure for the downtown central business district. Per ordinance, there are 24 allotted closures for that district. And so these are the ones that are coming forward asking for a closure. And so we are requesting council approval for the street closures for the 2021 calendar year. And if there's any questions, I'm happy to answer them.
What are the wishes of council?
Motion to approve.
We have a motion on the floor by Councilman Dow.
Second.
Second by Deputy Mayor Goins. Chair's gonna call the question. All in favor by saying aye.
Aye.
Any nays? Ayes have it unanimously. Proceeding on to item number 9, city business. Approve the resolution 2021-004, City of Cocoa travel policy. Mrs. Bowman, ma'am. Mrs. Bowman?
Yes, sir, Mayor. This is the resolution which is adopting the travel policy. As you approved previously, the ability to adopt the policy via resolution as opposed to ordinance. And so this is the resolution adopting the fact that the city has a travel policy.
Thank you very much. Any questions for Mrs. Bowman? Bowman, excuse me. Chair's gonna call, open for any comments. Seeing none, Chair would like to make the approval of this resolution 2021-004.
Second.
We have a second on the floor by Deputy Mayor Goins. Chair's gonna call the question. All in favor by saying aye.
Aye.
Any nays? Ayes have it unanimously. Proceeding on to item number 9-2, council authorizing to apply for a National Park Service African American Civil Rights Grant and the amount of a $30,000 grant to conduct historical research and documentation on the civil rights of the case Gilbert versus the Board of Public Instruction of Brevard County. The documentation will be used as an educational display at the Leon and Jewel Collins Museum and also of African American history and culture. What are the wishes of council?
Motion to approve. You got it.
Second. To approve.
Okay, we have a motion on the floor by Councilman Hearns and a second by Councilman Dow. Chair's gonna call the question. All in favor by saying aye.
Aye.
Any nays? Ayes have it. Moving on to item number 9-3. This is consideration of a binding development agreement between the City of Cocoa and the Sunshine granting the waiver for set forth therein pursuant to Section 15-21. Please be mindful, gentlemen, and in the absence of Councilwoman Cost, this project, the Sunshine, is a major economic development, a project that is subject to confidentiality based on the provisions of the Section 288-075 of Florida statutes. It is anticipated that the Project Sunshine will be an important economic catalyst for future growth and economic development to the city and Brevard County, create job growth, significantly enhance the local government tax base. The applicant is proposing to construct a 200,044 square foot distribution center, approximately 75.9 acres, with the overall acreage of the site of being 185 acres. Now be mindful, We have on 524 at the Walmart distribution, something comparable to that size in square footage, that we generate $1.2 million for a general fund. So Chair would like to make a motion to approve.
Second.
We have a motion on the floor by Chair and a second by Councilman Dow. Now, is there a presentation before we act on this?
We are not necessary.
Okay. I just want to make sure, because I want Lottie, Dottie, and everybody.
Done quickly.
Team Coco, Coco what? Strong, we're about it. All right, we have a motion on the floor by the chair and a second by Councilman Dial, which happens to be, is that your district?
That's my district.
All right, sir, a wonderful district, number 3. All right, sir. Saying so, we're gonna call the question. All in favor of saying aye?
Aye.
Any nays?
No.
Ayes have it unanimously. Tiger Pride.
Tiger Pride. I'm gonna say that. 3 tigers, 1 Rockledge.
Yes, sir. All right.
Wearing gators, that's cool.
Okay, sir, yes, sir. All right, moving on to item number 4, a multi-year contract approved task order 2021-18 with, which engineering company is this, Mr. Walsh?
Carollo, sir.
Thank you very much, sir. Inc. to update the wastewater system capital plan, project WS 1210, to approve a multi-year contract from fiscal year 2021 through fiscal year 2022. Mr. Walsh, sir, before I entertain a motion.
Yes, sir. It's been about 7 years since we did the master plan. And so we like to do those about every 5 to 7 years, so it's definitely time to update. Carollo is our new engineer. It used to be HDR. I'm sorry, it used to be CDM Smith, and Carollo won that last year. And so this is on the multi-year because the estimated time to complete is about 10 or 11 months, and so that'll extend us into the next fiscal year. And I'm here to answer any specific questions you might have about the scope, if you have any, sir.
No, sir, we gotta protect that water, sir. That liquid gold, as you know, and as everyone else know, affectionately known as liquid gold. What are the wishes of council?
Motion to approve.
We have a motion on the floor by Councilman Dow.
I'll second.
You got a second by Councilman Hearn. Chair's gonna call the question. All in favor by saying aye?
Aye.
Any nays? Ayes have it unanimously. Okay, proceeding on to reports. Let me get my facts together. Advisory boards and committees. Seeing none, city administration.
Actually, Mr. Mayor.
Sir.
We have more than a couple of reports there. Brian has a report. Rebecca has a report. Jack has a small report. And then Chief Lamb will give you a COVID update.
Okay, we will proceed in that order. Ladies first. Got you, Mr. Smith. You can beat me up later, sir.
Yes, sir, Mayor and council members. I just want to advise you that a new statute took effect January 1st, and it's called the E-Verification and Employment Eligibility Statute. And with that, all public employers, contractors, or subcontractors have to have the contractor register and use this E-Verify system, which is found online. This is for any contract that exceeds $35,000. The vendor has to go in and register on this E-Verify to verify the employee's status and provide that documentation to the city. And in addition, if there's a subcontractor to the contractor, the sub has to provide an affidavit to the contractor that the contractor has to keep on file, stating that the subcontractor does not employ, contract with, or subcontract with an unauthorized alien. And that contractor, as I said, has to keep that information on file. So that's something that as we go out to do some of our bids, that's going to be a new requirement upon our contractors. And we'll be sending notification out to the contractors and then also to our departments to notify them of this new statute.
Thank you very much, Mrs. Bowman, ma'am. Thank you, because knowledge is power. I'm sorry, with this muffled mask, and I want to be compliant. Knowledge is power, and I thank you for making sure the city is decent and in order. So we appreciate you, ma'am. Okay, Mr. City Manager, who's next? We will go with Mr. Smith, or would you like for me to just?
After Rebecca was Jack, but you put her first. So
Right. Okay. Go ahead, sir, Mr.
Yes,
City
sir.
Manager.
Just two items. Last year, Public Works Department requested that FDOT review a couple of the intersections on US 1, mainly Peachtree and Forest Avenue. As far as pedestrian crossings, Forest Avenue has no crossing for US 1, and Peachtree only had a crossing on the north side, but the south side was used more to get to the bus stop there. Those studies have been concluded and the construction's been done. They've installed 2 new pedestrian crossings in that area, so it should increase pedestrian access and safety through US 1. Also, the sidewalk and ADA improvements have been completed in the College Green Estates. This is in preparation for our mill and resurface work, our annual resurfacing. VA Paving is the contractor for the resurfacing, and they should be starting that hopefully in about a month or so. That's all I have.
Thank you very much, Mr. Smith. I have a question for you, sir.
Yes, sir.
I think back in November, sir, I mentioned something about the crossing light on Pine Needle for the kids at Endeavor Elementary. I'm sorry, you got it?
You good.
Okay. Because Coach Troy King brought that to my attention. Have we addressed that issue?
It should be. I'll follow up. Brevard County does our signal maintenance, and
Yes,
we put the work order through their system, but I'll follow up and make sure that's been completed.
Yes, sir. I think it's either the Pine Needle one or the Fisk Boulevard one, sir.
We've had problems with both. We'll
Yes,
follow
sir.
up.
Okay. I'm sorry. So okay.
I got a question for him. Mr. Smith, we talked about lights in the parking lot over here by Tulip. I noticed the other night when I was just leaving there from dinner, it was still out.
Yes, those are FPL lights, so we have to put a work order through their system. We can't do any modifications to their lights. We're really at their will. When they get to it, they get to it. We can put pressure on them, but it's typically just in their schedule. And as they go down the list, they get to them.
Thank you.
Yep.
Thank you, sir. Any questions? Councilman Hearn, sir.
Yes, I had a question for you. I know we had spoke sometime last week in regards to some kind of speed mechanisms in the neighborhood of North Carolina, that area in Park Drive, and you had spoke of a survey that needs to be sent out to the residents. I was wondering, is there, if we were to move forward that way, is there a timeline you have in mind that those surveys will go out?
So typically the person or the people making the request would initiate that survey. The city staff would not in the areas that the speed bumps or humps are requested. Usually when we receive that survey, if there's enough positive response, then we would start that speed study that I had mentioned. We're going to go ahead and do the speed study just to stay ahead of it. There's no reason not to do it. So once we get the survey, and if all the check marks are completed based on that, we would come to council with the request to install the speed humps in that location, and council would have to approve that. I believe you need 70 or 80% in favor within that segment of roadway, and in that particular segment, you would need multiple speed humps for it to be effective.
Yes, sir.
And we would also pull in PD and fire as well, because they have to provide input whenever speed humps are placed.
Correct. Thank you, because yes, Councilman Hearn, single, that they have asked me to, in reference of the speed bumps or humps, but I deferred to the council individual so that they have that opportunity. But now I know a little bit more about the process and the procedure. I can follow proper protocol. But that's refreshing because several people will catch you at the grocery store, Sam's, Walmart, wherever. You all know, I don't have to tell you, and ask that question. So thank you. All right, Mr. City Manager, who was next in line, sir?
Jack.
Yes, thank you, sir. Just a reminder that the Utilities Advisory Board meeting will be on the 27th, Wednesday. That's all, sir.
Thank you, sir. A man after my own heart besides Mr. Walsh, Chief Lamb, sir.
Thank you, sir. I just wanted to give you a quick update on where we're at currently with our COVID stats. Florida currently has had 1,503,482 cases. Brevard County has had 24,594 cases with 559 deaths to date. The city of Cocoa as a whole has had 2,236 cases, and currently within the city limits, the number of active cases that we have reported by the Department of Health are at 93. As you can certainly see with watching the news, and if you've been watching the Department of Health's website, just as they predicted, starting about Thanksgiving time, we certainly trended in an upwards motion. Everything that I've gotten from our state EOC call that we have on every Thursday is the predictions are right where they were deemed necessary. We saw all of our state sites for testing saw a rocket of number of people coming in and being tested right around the holidays. So the numbers are right where we figured they would be about this time. We're certainly nowhere close to being out of this storm yet. The vaccines are going out. They're starting to get out. You'll see more and more of those. State sites start to transition from not only testing sites, but vaccination sites as the vaccination becomes more readily available. Certainly there's a lot of work to be done with that still, but we're staying vigilant on that on our end as the emergency management side for our citizens and our employees. And we're continuing to follow CDC guidance to protect both the community and our employees here in the city of Cocoa.
I have a question. Go ahead, Mr. City.
It's probably the same. Chief, can you talk about where we are on the vaccinations for the first responders, and maybe Chief Hankins wants to chime in also, and also talk about what we know about the different phases and how we're going to get to eventually the general public being vaccinated.
Sure. Currently, as we worked with Brevard County, I'm trying to ensure that I'm politically correct. We were kind of tasked with coming up with what our plan was going to be to vaccinate our employees. Did we want to do it by pods, which are called closed pods, points of distribution, where we would be responsible for filing all the paperwork through the state and then storage and everything that went along with it? Well, obviously that was a huge undertaking for us, and there was no real way that the city of Cocoa could undertake the amount of money, the amount of time, the amount of equipment that it would take for us to be able to receive the vaccination and then turn around and be able to give out the vaccination in a closed pod to city employees. So we chose to go a route with partnering with Rockledge Medical Center. Rockledge was identified as one of the sites that would be getting the vaccination along with some of the other area hospitals once it was available. That was an easier distribution point for us to be able to send our employees to go there. One of the biggest challenges that we had, and I spoke to Kevin Guthrie, who's the Deputy Director of Florida Department of Emergency Management, was I had a real heartache with the governor's plan in the beginning of healthcare workers being able to be given the vaccination first, but first responders were not included in that. They lobbied the governor's office, actually took a rescue to his office to show him what the working environment was. He loosened that, allowed EMTs and paramedics to be allowed to be vaccinated at that point. But I was still worried about our police officers. They were certainly just as susceptible to be exposed, more so as we were. After speaking with him, he said, you work it out with your local hospitals and we'll allow that to happen. So we included Cocoa PD. Rockledge and the city of Cocoa partnered together with Rockledge Hospital, and I'm proud to announce that we were the first two communities to actually have our first responders start getting vaccinated in Brevard County. So we started that process. We offered the vaccination to the city employees that were in that first phase, which would have been our healthcare workers, our assisted living facility workers, and then EMTs, paramedics, and then our police officers. As we're working through that phase now, it's a rocky road. We certainly did not anticipate that it would go the way that it did through the state side, but they're pushing it as hard as they can to get more and more vaccinations out and get those chains opened up. The next phase will start our firefighters, those that aren't EMTs or paramedics. They will be considered in that phase, and then you'll start to see more of your assisted living facilities, and your age group bracket will start to jump up to 55. That will be phase 2, along with your other essential workers. This would be your utilities workers, any of those that were deemed when the president made the declaration of emergency. They had a classification of what essential workers were. The state of Florida kind of opened that up a little more and narrowed it down to kind of fill that out even more. So at that point, we'll start opening that up to the rest of the essential workers within the city of Cocoa and continue to work that partnership with Rockledge as vaccinations are available. I will tell you this, to date, we have had 14 people that have decided they wanted the vaccination from both PD and the fire side. And we had a second group that was supposed to go today, and they've already ran out of vaccination. So we have one shift left that we're looking to offer the vaccination to, and that'll be another 14 employees, along with, we've worked a relationship to get our clinic employees at our Cocoa clinic also in our group to get vaccinated once it becomes available again. Sorry, Mr. City Manager, I know that was long-winded. Amen.
I got a question, Mr. City Manager. It was brought to my attention, let me slide this down just a little bit. Are we at liberty to add a designated approved location? Are we at liberty to put it on our website? Just to make people be aware of it, or can we print?
For the locations that we know of?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I think that's good information for the general public. Also,
We're
Chief,
actually doing it now.
okay,
Okay.
Yeah, Samantha is on the pen call for the county.
Okay.
And as they have been advertising the sites that are doing those that are 65 and up, the first responders, all that, as that information goes out and where those sites are in the county, they send that information to Samantha, and Samantha's been sharing that on our city website. So we're pushing it out as hard as we can get it.
and so let me ask this, so if it's not sent out by the county and on the website, then, because I'd heard over the weekend that there was a site that was actually giving out the vaccine that didn't seem like it was one of those sites that would come through the health department there. And so the vaccine is only distributed through the health department or through the county. Kind of clarify that. And
It's actually, right now, it's distributed through either the county's designated points, which is the health department, and that's at their designated site. So Vieira, for 1 point, that's one of the sites that's actually given the vaccination now, is the Vieira Health Department over in Vieira. So if it's not listed on the county's website and it's not been approved, or it's not at a state state test site, which they're not doing vaccinations right now, that's a long-term plan, then it's not been authorized. I know there's a lot of push that they're pushing out vaccinations for CVS, Target, Publix, but that's still a long ways to go. They're trying to get their staff on hand before they push that out and publicize that.
and so for the citizens of Cocoa, what's going to be on the City of Cocoa website are all those health department and state approved sites, regardless of whether they're in the City of Cocoa or not.
Correct. We have all the sites listed, but also Health First and Omni are also vaccinating, and those, they're out as well. Everybody's out of vaccines right now, but they are vaccinating, and so their links are also on our website. So we have all of the links to all the locations that you can get a vaccine are included on our website.
Very good. Thank you, Mr. City Manager and staff. Job well done. Any questions, gentlemen? All right, Mr. City Manager.
In the future, I think it'd be just easier if we can combine city manager and city administration, because that was the end of, I think, administration reports there. And so I don't know if you want me to jump ahead of Mr. Garganese, but I'm ready to do so if you.
Well, I'm just like a parent, so I have to love you equally. So I'm going to sidestep that one, and I will just proceed as is stated, Mr. City Manager, sir. If you wouldn't mind, please, sir. Thank you kindly, Mr. City Manager. The greatest Esquire on this side, or even in this galaxy, yours truly, Super Attorney Anthony Garganese. Yes, sir, I mean that. I have no report. Zero. Okay, proceeding forward then. Yes, sir, thank you, Super Attorney. We have the Super City Manager on this side of the St. Johns River. Matter of fact, on this side of the east of the Gulf of Mexico, yours truly, the greatest city attorney, and he's a gator. All right, yours truly, Mr. Stockton Whitten, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Yes, sir.
A couple of things there. Just to remind the council and the citizens that the chief of police solicitation closes on January 22nd, and those applications are coming in. And so, if you haven't given me your representative for the screening committee, please do so, because we're going to hit the ground running on the 22nd. I have one item that I need to seek your ratification of, or actually seek your forgiveness on. Each year, the council budgets annually for Magnolia Blossoms, which helps provide Thanksgiving meals at the Jolie Smith Center, and I think that's to seniors. I'm not sure if that's to seniors there. Obviously, they couldn't do that this year, and so they requested, and that's an amount of $5,500. They requested that they be allowed to use those dollars for a Christmas meal instead. And so, as the board was not in session, I did approve that sort of reuse of the dollars there are actually to just use that at the Christmas meal. And so I would ask your sort of ratification of that use of your dollars.
You need a consensus of us, or since?
Yes, I apologize and ask for your ratification of that decision.
That came from the deputy mayor. Yes, sir. Absolutely.
And then I think last, I'm going to make a number of improvements to the box here, because you'll see that I've asked for a number of additional staff to sit in the box there, and so obviously I'll keep those to a minimum. But again, I think it is important to have staff in the box there, and so I want to just add 2 spaces to the box there. When it was designed, I guess they never anticipated having more than 4 people on each side there, but my needs are a little different there, and so I just wanted to advise the board of that. And I think that is it for me, sir. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. City Manager. Did you say something, Deputy Mayor? Did you say something? Mr. City Manager, there's a young man sitting on the opposite side, on the far end, just west of you, that has a lot of stars on his collar. Who is that young man? We know it's not Kemosabe, but he's wearing a mask. The new chief of police. Do you know that man?
West of you?
Yes, sir, west. That's right. That's west of you. That young man with the mask on. He's not the Lone Ranger with the stars on his collar.
Tall, thin guy?
Yes, sir. That's him.
With a lot of hair?
Yes, a lot of hair. More than mine. And Chief Lamb and Honorable Jack Walsh. Yes, sir. Who's that young man, sir?
Over here?
Yes, sir.
I'm still looking for the young man. That is, and I told Carrie to change the his sign there because it says acting. I don't want him to be acting as police chief there. He's the interim police chief there. And Chief Hankins has actually hit the ground running there, and so happy to have him for these 4 months.
Fantastic. Thank you. Thank you, sir. All right. Welcome aboard. A true Cocoan too as well. He's a Cocoan. Okay, then proceeding on with City Council. We're going to start from my right, your left. Let's see. And then starting with you, Rip. Councilman Rip Dow from District Number 3, then Councilman Lavander Hearn, District Number 2, and then my all-time favorite, because I reside in District Number 1, because it's number 1 in my heart, Councilman, Deputy Mayor, Councilman Alex Red Raider Gone.
I just got one thing. I was there present for the first responder 5K, which is a lot of fun. It was a big turnout. One of our police officers ran it, pushing 2 kids of about 65 pounds apiece.
Wow.
With the vest on, with the weapon on, in work boots, the whole 9 yards. He did it in 33 minutes, and I thought that was very impressive because I couldn't even ride it with a Segway in that fast. I hope everybody had a good holiday, good New Year's. We're going to hit the ground running, and nice to see Chief Hankins over there. I got to work with him for a couple of years as the VCOP coordinator, and he was a big help to me with the rest of the police department. And looking forward to working with all of you, and that's it.
All right. Now, you just returning from Tejas, Texas.
Yes,
right,
I
sir?
did.
Fantastic. Glad you had a safe journey and made it back home to and from safely. Councilman Hearn, District Number 2, sir.
All right, I'd just like to add, you all know the fire EMS is my baby. Last week we had a structure fire off of Rosatine, if I'm correct.
That's right.
I actually know the owner of the house, and he was very thankful that our fire department, our men and women, did a great job getting there at a speedy time and containing the fire to one area of the house, and the structure was saved. There was no casualties or injuries. When we showed up, there was nothing to do, and that shows that our fire department are working hard, training hard for those type of situations to keep the city safe, and I would like to give a public kudos to those guys. So thank you. And I also wanted to just put it back in the staff's mind that I would love for us to be able to reach out to Cocoa High for the football team to somehow. Okay, thank you. And then that's all I have. Happy New Year to everyone, and welcome aboard, Chief Hankins. So. That's pretty much.
Okay, I got one question for you, sir. Where were you last Saturday, sir? You all beating at my door. You and a host of those other individuals. I'm gonna keep it positive because
last Saturday it was a group of us, including the mayor. We were over in District 1 in that area picking up trash, doing a neighborhood community cleanup. And it went pretty great. Got to get out and speak with some of the citizens and pick up a lot of trash, and it was a great time. And that's pretty much it.
Okay, very good, sir. Thank you very much. Job well done. All right, proceeding on to District Number 1. Yours truly, Deputy Mayor Alex Goins.
I just had just a few things. I'm glad you brought that up about the trash pickup last weekend. I think it was an awesome time for all of us to get out and citizens get out and clean up the community. I think we collected about between 35 and 40 bags of trash within 2 hours. We know Keeping Brevard Beautiful couldn't do it this year based on COVID, but I think we all seen how much trash is out there. Issue that we're having in our right-of-ways is that we're cutting grass without picking up the trash. So it's causing a lot of the small pieces to fly everywhere. I need to contact Herb with the housing authority as well to have them, maybe work on that. And the company that's doing our right of ways, we can ask them to do a better job of picking up the trash, because we had a lot of that going on. And I know it happens sometimes, but this Saturday, we are doing a community game night at Jody Smith Center. I think it's one of the first events in the center. We're going to make sure we are COVID protocol. And the main focus of this event is to slow down the violence that we have in our community for the last, few months. It's been a little rough in our area, so we want to give these kids something to do, because we know out of mind is the devil's playground. So we want to give them a little activity this Saturday from 7 p.m. to 10 p.m. We'll have the game truck with PlayStation, basketball, just have fun, let kids be kids. The next thing I had was, I think, I don't know the process it is, but code enforcement review on some of the codes that we have that may be outdated. Dealing with one of the items is parking on your grass. A lot of houses right now have multiple vehicles. If you have 3 kids that's over 16, nowadays all 3 kids have cars. Mama have a car, daddy have a car, grandma come by. Now you have 7 cars, and someone is going to park on the grass because they can't park on the street. So I think we need to be a little bit flexible, because a lot of the code violations that I'm getting phone calls on is dealing with parking on the grass, not because they want to in some cases, but because they have to. So I think that's one item that we need to review. What's the process of reviewing codes? Is that something that the council needs to just bring those items that we want to address, or is there a code review process yearly?
Do you have, I don't know that we do it yearly, but do you have other areas within the code you'd like to look at? I wrote this note down. We can review that, bring you back some language if you want to change the code. If you want to abate enforcement on that, then I don't know that there's a need to change the code there. But if you want us to do a comprehensive look at the code and look for areas where we think that we don't need to be as strict, or we can modify, we can do that and bring it back at a subsequent.
So what I ask for the council to do is, if you can review it yourself, look at things you might want to look at, and then maybe give us a time frame, maybe a week or 2 to look at it, and we all can, if we have anything that we want, the staff to look at. But I have a few things, and I will get that to you on the email as well. So I just want to just throw that out there. But I think 2020 was a rough year for everybody. So let's, like the mayor said, let us start this 2021 on the right foot. And I believe today was an awesome time for our community. Definitely with the new warehouse that's going to be built, and also with the Starbucks. I appreciate all of our citizens coming out, definitely lobbying for the things that they want. We got a lot of that the last 7-8 days. But just because we may not agree on an item, don't think we don't listen. I took the time to sit down with 4 or 5 individuals and got cornered by another 4 or 5 at the same time. But I appreciate, I think we all appreciate just it shows that you care about the community. And that's the biggest thing I got of it. It wasn't the fact that we didn't agree, but the fact is that you care, and we'll listen to you. So I appreciate you for that. Thank you, sir.
Very good. Thank you very much, Deputy Mayor Goins, sir. But before I proceed on, Mrs. Bunt, Ma'am.
Thank you, Mayor. Just to piggyback Deputy Mayor's comments about moving forward in 2021, just wanted to let everyone know that the Michael C. Blake subdivision, the 22 lots, it's owned by the city. The request for proposals is out on the street. So we're seeking a developer to help us construct and build homes there. We also got the appraisal back from the Rosa L. Jones property. It's the 800 block of Rosa L. Jones. It's owned by the Diamond Square CRA. So we'll be moving forward with that RFP next, and then we'll be working on the infill lots the city owns to start building houses hopefully for some of our first responders and some city employees, and moving forward to increase that tax base and get people living in the city.
Okay. Can I ask you something? January the 7th, 7 a.m., bright early in the morning. You all had a lot of our happy faces in the place with the human race. What were we doing then during that time? Thursday morning.
Economic breakfast.
Bulata, rather. Brian is his name. I want to say kudos to Mr. City Manager and staff. You all did a phenomenal job. I had a wonderful time at the breakfast, economic breakfast bunch. I just called it a bunch because we were one big happy family. We come from all different parts of the world, but we're just one group of people, set of people, and that's the beautiful thing about it. Deputy Mayor Goins, and then Councilman Dow, and then I'll close out.
Appreciate it.
So, yes, sir.
The, where are we with the Jolie Smith RFP and, answer that one first, and I'll probably come to my mind.
Wait a minute, you just 40, man. If not, man, you whatever that's called.
Remember, Deputy Mayor, the Jolie Smith and what to do with the old or is existing is an item that you guys need to discuss, which way you're going to go on that. I thought we were going to address that at your state of the city district meeting.
Yes, sir. Okay, thank you.
Mr. City Manager, you want to say anything about economic?
Yeah, thank you for allowing me to clean up there. That was a successful breakfast there. What we tried to do was put the focus on Coco. Originally scheduled for that was Linda Weatherman, and she was under the weather, no pun intended. And and so she couldn't attend, and so we had hoped that focus would be a little bit more on Coco. But I thought Angela did a great job there. Again, kudos to Samantha and Charlene and Nancy. And I forgot to actually thank Gail at the event there, and she was very instrumental in getting that set up there. And so, you know, as we're trying to establish that relationship with a better, more, a closer relationship with the EDC so that, you know, we want all roads in Brevard County to sort of traverse through Cocoa when it comes to economic development. And so that was a good first step in doing that.
Very well, Mr. City Manager. Thank you very much, sir. Councilman Dow, sir, District Number 3.
I also forgot, Saturday, I got to go to our sewer treatment plant. Samantha Singer did an excellent job with the Citizens Academy. It's been a great, you know, I've been enjoying it and learning a lot of stuff. And the most important thing out there at the sewer plant are bugs. And when they showed me the bugs in the microscope, I was very impressed. But kudos to her. She did a great job. Everybody came out and they learned a lot. We also were at the Dow plant last month, which was phenomenal. Forgot about that. Speaking up tonight, got back off of vacation, so it's time to get back to work. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Do we have any members from the Citizens Academy in the audience? Anybody who's a part of that? If you formally attend the Citizens Academy. Okay, we got one in the audience. Super fantastic. Now, I'm being a little jealous. You're supposed to love us all equally. Councilman Goins had a Citizens Academy t-shirt. They don't have an Omar the tent maker size going on, because I know Councilman Hearn would like to have one, and Councilman Dow, they're not part of that group like I am, Omar the tent maker. But just food for thought, that's all. Team Coco. Coco strong. All right, anything else before we call it conclusion. Okay, proceeding on. A lot of things have already been addressed, and I love that. Yes, I want to say welcome back to everyone from Christmas and Happy New Year's break. We believe in you. All lives matter, especially when it comes to this COVID, because it doesn't discriminate. It takes us all. So each one teach one, help one, because that's what a community is all about. And the two vaccinations, is it Pfizer and Moderna? Okay, and I know being a school teacher myself, my preference, what's been brought to my attention is Moderna. I don't know what we're getting. Long as it's free, I hope they got a needle in my size, because I'm going to definitely take that. Yes, sir. Thank you kindly, sir. Firm believer, buy local, spend local, keep it local. God bless America and these great United States, but more so the great city of Cocoa. Thank you very much. Go in peace. Team Cocoa, Cocoa strong. Thank you. That's it.
Motion to
Yeah, Chair takes a motion to
adjourn?
yes. You got a motion on the floor by Councilman Dow, and second by, who was that? Deputy Mayor Goins. Thank you very much. Job well done. You guys are training me well. Got a classmate, Jocelyn Scott.